Hi son, I got a question the other day. If I could show you how to use this, the Radiomaster Zorro, with this, the Excavator, or any other excavator for that matter. So I thought it was a good idea, so let's get into it. I'll start off with showing you the simplest way, or the least stuff you had to do, and then I'll go more advanced afterwards. It's still not difficult, but it makes the whole experience so much better. So make sure you stick around to the fun stuff in the end. Start off by creating your model, finding an empty space, holding the wheel and create model, and then you use the page button and call it something. Like Excavator, what do you call it? And then you go down and select your receiver. I'm using a FrSky or FrSky. So I go to the multi and find the, I think it's a new one, so D16. And before you bind it, you have to give it an ID that is not used by any other of your models. And then you bind it. I'm not going to show the binding process. And then you go to the next page. Go to page number 5, where you have the inputs connected to the sticks. There you have to add the scroll wheels. Mine are self-centering because I like that, but if you have the originals, it's okay. And you hold the scroll wheel and push it once more and call it something like LT for left track, for instance. And then you go down to the source and select your input. Just by moving it, you will select it. And then you go back and then you add the right scroll wheel for the right track. And you can see that it's already set at S2, but you can hold the scroll wheel, hit the scroll wheel and move the input you want to use. Rename the other inputs. So let's go to the aileron should be the bucket. And the elevator, that's up and down here. That should be your boom. And then throttle, that's up and down on the left stick. That is our stick. You can of course use any naming convention that you want to. And the rudder, left and right on the left stick, is your turret, or let's call it swing. Y for swing. So then you got all your inputs in, and then you move to the next page, which is the mixes, and there you find the inputs already set. And all we have to do is add the left track and just hold it, and the right track. It's quite possible to control your excavator. If anything moves in the wrong directions, you have two possible ways. You can change it in the outputs. So channel 1 is the bucket, and if you want to move it, to move the other way, you can just go down to direction and invert it. So there you see all your outputs are working. So before we go into the advanced stuff, there are links in the description below, affiliate links, to get yourself this brilliant little radio. So let's get into the advanced stuff. If you want to restrict some of the movements, if you find that, let's say, the stick moves too fast, you go into the mixes again, move down to the stick, hold it to get into edit, and then you just decrease the weight. That is your maximum output. If the belts doesn't go the same speed at full throttle, let's say the right track is a bit too fast, so the excavator turns, you can do the same. You can go in here and just decrease the weight a bit till you have the same speed on both tracks at full speed. Most ESCs calibrate their 0 point when they get powered up, and if you're using for the belts, if you're using the standard scroll wheel or my highly inaccurate self-centering sticks, then you need to set up a switch that kills the throttle when you start the excavator up, just to make sure that the output is at 0. And I want to use the C switch. It's one of the 3 points. So my plan is, if it's all the way down, you can control the tracks, and if it's in the middle position, you just set 0 output and you can't move the tracks, but the ESCs will also be calibrated correctly. So we'll just go in the edit mode and scroll down to switch, and just hit the scroll wheel and flip the switch, hit the scroll wheel and flip the switch to the down position. And we'll do that for the right track too. So So if we go all the way out and look at the outputs, you can see that when the C switch is flipped all the way down, I can run the tracks. But if I flip it to center, the output is 0 and I can't move them. And then we'll go into the startup sequence and set an alarm. Which says that we want the C switch in the center position whenever we power up the radio. So we can check that out. Let's put it in the down position and fire her up.
Welcome to HTX. Throttle warning.
Oh, that's some airplane thing. I'll
Switch
remove
warning.
it. And there you get some switch warning reminding you to put C switch in the center position. Let's get rid of that throttle warning. And we got a failsafe warning. You go down to failsafe and you can go to custom and set. So if it loses connection, then all channels will be set to 0. So the next thing I want to do is, since these machines are quite slow and you have to transport them every now and again, it gets boring to hold these sticks all the time. So I want to be able to control the tracks with the left stick. So let's see if we can fix that. And of course, if I control the belts or the tracks with it, then I don't want it to control the bucket and the boom. Or actually, it's the stick and the turret. So let's get back into the setup. And we go to the mixes. I will still use the SC switch. So when the SC is in the top position, I will control the tracks with this stick. First we go into the stick mix and says that to control the sticks, the C switch have to be in any position except from the top one. So we have to scroll backwards till we get to this one with the exclamation mark before and SC at top. Sorry. So this means that if SC is not in the top position, I will control the stick and the turret. And then we'll do the same with this one. And then we can go back and have a look at the outputs. So in regular mode, running mode, this one is down and you control the belts with sliders. Then you can see that I control the stick and the turret with the left stick. In the center position where I cut the throttle. In the center position where I cut the throttle, I can still control the stick and the turret, and in the up position I cannot. And then we will add a mix to control the belts with this one. So I go down to the left belt and go insert after. I want to control it with the left stick up and down, and only when switch C is up. And then I'll do the same for the right track. Select the input and only when the C switch is up. Let's have a look at the outputs. C switch up, and I control both of the belts. Now we can only go backwards and forwards and no turning, so that'll be the next. And then let's see if we can make it turn with the left stick. So I go into mixes again, mixes, insert after, and then I choose the swing input, and I still need the SC switch to be in the top position. And then we need to do the same on the right track. Insert after, use the same input, and the same switch. So when I go forward, I drive both the belts in the same direction, and if I go left, I still drive both the belts in the same directions. We have to switch the direction on one of the belts, so let's get in there again to the mixes. And if I turn left, I want the right track to go forward and the left track to go backwards. So I guess we could change the direction on this one by going minus 100. Let's see how that sorry, that turns out. Ah, I see what I did. This is the wrong way. So this should be minus 100 on both the left and the right track. We need to invert the right track to minus 100. Let's see. Yeah. So both tracks forward, both tracks backwards. I have to invert both the left and the right track again on the turning stick. I hope this makes any sense. If it doesn't, please leave a comment just below the video, and feel free to ask any questions that you might have in order to make this understandable. So full speed ahead, full speed reverse, turning to the left track goes backwards and the right track goes forwards, and turning to the right, the left track goes forward and the right track goes backwards, and if you want to turn while going forwards, it's the same thing. Going left, the left track slows down and the right track speeds up. And if you want to support the channel in other ways, there are several free of charge simple ways to do that. Just hit that like button below the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.